For author and licensed therapist Nicole Zasowski, celebration was risky and always came with a catch. Her life experiences had taught her to self-protect against heartache. But being rooted in deep faith, she began searching scripture to uncover not only fullness of joy, but daring joy.
Joy can feel risky, especially when life has taught you to expect disappointment. Maybe you found yourself pulling back, thinking it's safer not to hope than to get your heart broken. But God has something better for you. Licensed therapist and author Nicole Zasowski is here to help. In the book, Daring Joy, Nicole helps readers grab hold of real lasting joy, the kind that doesn't break when life gets hard. Through examining the stories of 6 bold women in Scripture, readers will find that joy isn't a gamble, it's a gift. And God's inviting you to live it to the fullest.
Well, Nicole, welcome to 700 Club Interactive. We are so happy to have you with us this morning.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. Well, let's just get right into it. You are a licensed marriage and family therapist and an author of multiple books. But what compelled you to write this Bible study?
This study was born out of a season that could largely be characterized by change and loss. And what I noticed is that when I did start to encounter good news and experience some breakthrough in our story, I was hesitant to embrace it. And I was really grieved when I realized that, yes, I've experienced a lot of tangible loss in my life, but a lot of the loss I've experienced has been my refusal to embrace the very good things that God has for me. And I thought, I don't want to miss out on my beautiful God-given life because I am so busy preparing for the worst. And so that sent me into a deep dive into scripture to really ask myself, what is God's invitation and how can we practice joy, whether the circumstances in our life lend themselves to that or not?
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people watching right now who do that on a regular basis because let's be honest, life is hard. Life is hard. But in this study, there is a session on the vulnerability of joy. What makes joy the most vulnerable emotional experience that we can encounter?
It's funny because joy doesn't at first glance seem like it would be a vulnerable experience, but indeed I learned in the neuroscience research and in scripture that joy is the most vulnerable feeling we feel because when we hold something, it is automatically accompanied by the possibility of loss. And if you've been through trauma or pain of any kind, you know that it can feel safer not to hold that joy at all than to hold something that might break.
Yeah. Well, the study looks into 6 women found in Scripture who do dare to joy, even in the unpredictability that they might lose something and life's just hard times. But who are the 6 women and why did you choose these women?
Eve, starting at the very beginning, Sarah, Miriam, Mary, the mother of Jesus, Elizabeth, and Mary Magdalene. And I chose these 6 women because either their stories really held up the mirror to things that are holding us back from joy, or they serve as beautiful examples of how we can practice joy in circumstances that might be painful or joyful, the joy that's available to us in all circumstances.
I love that. Well, was there one woman in this Bible study whose story really resonated with you most?
It's hard to pick, but I have 2.
Okay.
Sarah is the one who really held up the mirror to my own tendency to protect myself from the vulnerability of joy with cynicism and pessimism. And Elizabeth is my model. She's the one who the example I'm trying to follow as I look to what does it look like to actually practically practice joy.
Yeah, well, what does it mean to experience and practice daring joy?
You know, when we think of joy or we think of celebration, often we think that it has to come as a reaction to good news or a reward for an accomplishment. We're looking for a reason to experience joy or celebrate. When in actuality, at its best, daring joy is a rhythm that recalls God's character that is good all the time and that helps us remember his faithfulness in our story. And so daring joy is remembering God's character and remembering the ways that he's been faithful to us.
Yeah, that's powerful. Well, how can we embrace joy amidst life's struggles?
There are two practical ways that I think are really helpful, and these are exercises available no matter what your season looks like right now. Savoring is a helpful exercise in extracting more joy from the moment so that you're already living. So you don't need to add anything to your life in order to experience this. But the way you practice it is you simply ask your 5 traditional senses what they're going to remember about a small moment of joy. So what do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? And what do you feel? And that actually preserves that moment of joy so that you can recall it later and extracts more joy from that ordinary moment that your brain would be tempted to dismiss. Thanksgiving is another powerful exercise. This is simply expressing the gratitude that we feel out loud through the practice of Thanksgiving. So if you feel gratitude, actually saying it out loud, either to God in your prayers or to someone in your life, that increases the joy significantly that you would have experienced had you simply felt grateful in your heart.
That's powerful. Thanksgiving and praise always definitely shifts things. Well, early in the study, you shared that your prayer for those participating is not to just study information, but for transformation. How can those walking through this Bible study, Daring Joy, make the most of it?
As I was writing it, it was really important to me that we weren't just writing for information, that we weren't just studying something on our own, that we were asking ourselves, how can I apply this? And how can I actually practice the truth that we see in Scripture? And so I offer several opportunities to apply the truth that we're learning, but also actually practice it in the moment. And because I wanted us to ask 2 questions as we studied. What is God saying? And then how does this change the way I interact in my relationship with God, myself, and with others?
That's powerful. And before we go, I did just want to read this quote. It's actually on the back of the study, but it says, "Don't miss out on your beautiful God-given life because you're busy preparing for the worst." Again, I just know, life is hard and sometimes we do that to protect ourselves. But I love this study and I think it's really going to transform so many people's lives. So Nicole, thank you so much for being with us and thank you for this study guide.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Well, to get your very own copy of the 7-session Daring Joy Bible study, make sure you guys visit lifeway.com. There are wonderful resources to go along with the study as well. And you can do the study yourself or grab some of your girlfriends and go through it together with them. And Nicole would love to connect with you on her social media, so make sure you follow her, or you can also visit her website, NicoleZasowski.com. So be sure to find her there. Nicole, we again thank you for being with us.
Thank you.